I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and you thought the dual-core processor craziness was crazy. Well, the quad-core devices are coming to market now. One of those is the LG Optimus G. It's available soon, November 2nd from AT&T for $199.99, and it's packing some pretty decent specs as well. A 1.5 gigahertz quad-core processor, a 4.7-inch IPS HD display, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, and Android 4.0, alongside 4G LTE connectivity and a 2,100 milliamp hour battery. Is this the ultimate must-have device this holiday season, or should you go with one of AT&T's other 10, 12 devices they're releasing in the holiday season, like the Xperia TL, the Note 2, the Lumia 920, and more? We'll find out in the full review, but first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our One-Pawed Bandit giveaway game, which we turn around and give to you for free at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your contacts and settings, so when you walk out the door with your Optimus G, you're good to go at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look. Is this the device you should get, or should you put your $200 towards something else? We'll find out in the full review, which starts right now. LG is striking back this holiday season. Samsung, Apple, HTC, Motorola, all of these other OEMs have had their time in the spotlight. Now LG is kind of like, you know what? We've made phones for years. At least this is what I imagine they're thinking. They're like, you know what? We've made phones for years. Now it's time to get back into the high-end smartphone limelight. And their first attempt in the States to do that is the LG Optimus G. This thing was announced a little while ago. It was shown off at AT&T Unwrapped a few weeks ago in New York City, and it's coming soon to AT&T. We've got the review unit, obviously, in the office. It's coming on November 2nd for $199.99, pricing it right there alongside, most likely at least, the Sony Xperia TL, the HTC One X, somewhere around the Galaxy Note 2, definitely around the Galaxy S3. So you've got a ton of different hot smartphones to choose from this holiday season. And you know, having done this, I've worked in wireless for almost 10 years. My 10th year is actually next year. And I'll tell you, every year it gets hotter and more exciting in mobile. And this is one of those years because you've got a ton of awesome smartphones, really portable computers when you think about it, to choose from here. But to give you a rundown of the specs, this thing is packing a 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU that's a quad-core processor. It's got an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording. It's packing Android 4.0, also known as Ice Cream Sandwich, with LG's custom user interface. It's got 4G LTE connectivity, a 2,100 milliamp hour battery, and it's got a 4.7 IPS HD display. And I'll tell you, the display is absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to say that quote that I always say on camera because you guys give me a hard time for that. And you know what? Sometimes we just get in our habits of saying stuff. So you know what? I'm going to skip it and move on. I'm going to come up with another phrase. Let's say it's a hot display and you need to check it out in the store. That's what I'll say on camera. So specs-wise, definitely equipped to handle even the highest-end devices from HTC, Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, of course, with the iPhone 5. And out of the gate, it's got a lot to offer. And I'll be the first to tell you, I've been working with this device for a couple of days, and man, is this thing fast. This thing is incredibly zippy out of the gate. Little to no lag. Zippy. That's a new review word that I'm using, but you can see incredibly fast, little to no lag whatsoever on this device. Incredibly fast in everything you throw at it. Pinch out here to see the wallpaper, for example. And LG's user interface, it's still not quite up to par. When I look at refined user interfaces that are to the point of completion, or what I would consider to be completion, I think of Sense 4, I think of TouchWiz, and I think of Motorola's user interface. There's definitely some room for growth here. There are some things they're not doing, in my opinion, correctly to appeal to the mainstream consumer. That said, there's a ton of customization here that you don't get on other devices like Sense and Motorola's user interface, and of course, TouchWiz as well. So out of the gate, a couple of AT&T applications here: Amazon Kindle, AT&T Code Scanner, Family Map, AT&T Locker, AT&T Navigator, ready to go. Smart Wi-Fi, so you get a ton of AT&T stuff out of the gate here, as you can see. Of course, I can press and hold, and I can bring over to access app info if I want to, and it cannot be uninstalled. So I can go over here to ready to go, for example, and see the app info, and it cannot be uninstalled. So I can come through here and kind of check and see which one of these, or which applications rather, can be uninstalled. And I can see all my other AT&T applications as well. So out of the gate, like I said, all that stuff, device help, you get NFC Tag Plus or LG Tag Plus for your NFC needs, live TV for UVerse, AT&T Messages, then you get My AT&T, all the Google Play stuff out of the gate, Polaris Office 4.0, some stuff that I've downloaded, and then you see some LG stuff like Video Wiz, and of course this is AT&T as well, YP Mobile out of the box. My downloads are here, and they're all kind of configured up here on the top with customizable tabs. I can, of course, change stuff around. I can uninstall Quadrant Standard and Speed Test if I want to. Unfortunately, I can't install most of the AT&T stuff. Now, this is something that LG devices have suffered from since the beginning. Like, you go back as far as the Revolution, things like that, and you'll realize this. There are some gesture issues, some minor gesture issues with the touchscreen. I said this in the Revolution. I found that oftentimes when scrolling through menus, it's not as responsive as it could be, and I'm seeing that over even on this device, even though it's gotten much better than in previous years. I still see it from time to time when I'm scrolling or doing something. I notice I'll scroll over and it'll accidentally click on an icon, so the responsiveness just isn't quite where I'd like it to be. Still, a huge improvement from previous LG devices and definitely competitive with other devices on the market. So you get your back button, your home button, your menu button, and then of course press and hold home to access recent applications, and you can easily remove those just like that. So I mean, this thing is incredibly fast. That's kind of the takeaway that I want you to see here. It's a very fast device, little to no lag whatsoever. You can see I load up applications quickly and easily. I can go over here, for example, we'll view a profile just so you can take a look at this. And you can see how quickly everything's loading up, little to no lag whatsoever, and a beautiful design as well. At least some people are going to think it's a beautiful design. I actually prefer the Sprint version of the LG Optimus G. Slight design differences, which we'll talk about later on, but you can see this one's a little bit more international in design, has a 13 megapixel camera, and you can see that the design is different. The edges are not rounded, they're more flat on the Sprint version, but over here you've got some rounded edges and Gorilla Glass on this device. You've got a power button on the right side, your volume rocker on the left side, and of course a little slot here for your micro SIM card slot and your micro SD card slot. I could put that back and get that back lined up. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up here, micro USB charging port at the bottom of the device, and then of course your 8 megapixel camera on the back with the AT&T Globe logo. They've done away with the text, at least on the Optimus G, but you can see it's a fingerprint magnet. That's one thing is for sure. This thing's going to draw some fingerprints, and of course it's trying to focus on the light. Let me get the drift to go away here. Bam! There we go. So you can see fingerprint issues all over this device. So that's something to keep in mind. If fingerprints bother you, you may want a case on this device. Still, out of the gate, let's take a look at messaging, and you can see again how quickly it loads up, how quickly everything runs in the back end. 4G LTE capabilities, and this is something I like. Let's talk a little bit about the customization choices on this device, because like other LG devices, you have the ability to get the shortcuts in the notifications bar, and then you can edit those notifications as well, or those shortcuts rather. Let's say, you know what, I like Quick Memo quite a bit. I use Wi-Fi, sure. I use Bluetooth, sure. I use airplane mode more than I do GPS, or at least I don't turn off GPS on a regular basis. And let's say sound profile. And then when I go back, you'll notice that these are configured in the order that I put them in. So Quick Memo is over here, and I can customize and kind of make these my own. So this is Quick Memo, which we'll talk about in part 2. It doesn't come with a stylus, but it does give you the opportunity to quickly capture a screen grab and then write on it if you see fit. And of course I can save that if I want to. So I'm going to Stephen Williams, for example, a test contact that I have, and you'll see here that I've customized behind the scenes on the messaging. So a couple of cool customizations here. Things like this, I can go into conversation skin and change this around, make it look a little bit different. So much like the Note 2 and the Galaxy S3, that ability to change the text bubbles and change the background, you get kind of the same look and feel over here on LG's newest device as well. So I can click on this one, for example, change the overall skin and the way it looks, and you'll see that it gives me a little bit of a different appearance. LG's keyboard installed on this 4.7-inch display means it's going to be more than big enough for most people. That said, if you're migrating from a physical keyboard, you may want to take a look at it in the store just to see if it's big enough for you. That said, LG's keyboard, huge improvements over previous builds of LG's keyboard. So I'll say the Quick Brown Fox is ready for the weekend and is very happy. So huge improvement. Still not my favorite keyboard on the market by any means. Quick Brown Fox apparently is hallucinating too. But you've got a couple of different options, just the LG keyboard, and then of course the Android keyboard and Google Voice typing out of the gate. So you do get this if you want to, and you can take advantage of the stock Android keyboard if you want to. So you've got this ability as well. But I will say LG's keyboard substantial, at least in an improvement category. It's done a great job from where it was with Android 2.2 and 2.3 all the way up to now. Very impressed with LG's keyboard. Still not my favorite, like I said, but some improvements there. Back on the topic of customization, press and hold on the home screen, and you can access apps, downloads, widgets, and wallpapers directly from this. Reminds me a lot of the older version of TouchWiz. If you remember TouchWiz version 4.0, very similar here where you press and hold on the display, and it kind of brings up all 7 of your home screens. I have widgets. I can easily drag those and drop them on any home screen, scroll over the next one, drag and drop, as you can see here. Then I've got my downloads and my wallpaper, so I can come over here and change the wallpaper if I want to. Let's say to the leaf, looks like a maple leaf. maybe not a maple leaf, I can't tell. And I can set that to lock screen as well, but beautiful display here, and I can do it all from that one menu. Another thing that I really like about LG, and I talked about this in the Optimus 4X HD review, is this. Take a look at the icon here. For example, I can press and hold messaging, and you'll see this edit button pop up. Or I can click on that edit button, and I can change it around to anything that I see fit. So you know what, if M, for example, reminds me of messaging, I can click on that, and M becomes my messaging icon. So this is the first device I've worked with where you can actually change the icons around. So that's pretty cool, and a nice customization choice there. And we can go into settings as well, access those, and you can see much different here from a stock Optimus G look and feel on AT&T's device. They're sectionalized by network, sound, display, and general, so I can scroll over here. And another thing, kind of jumping around here, but you'll notice that it has the battery percentage indicator here as well, which you know that I love. I think that's incredibly easy to use and much easier than looking at kind of an arbitrary battery meter and being like, how much time do I have left? I don't know. Let's try and guess it. Quad core control is also cool. You can go into an eco mode and preserve battery life on this device. So since it does have a quad core processor, that will definitely help combined with 4G LTE. So let's jump out here and take a look at some of the personalization options. You can see widescreen. This is a keep screen on when it detects if your face is looking at the screen. Very useful here. And of course, front-facing camera, if it detects your face, it will turn on or leave the display on rather. And then of course, auto rotate screen. I have that turned on. And then I can go down here and select font type. I can change my notification flash, motion sensors, and I can go into home screen as well and see some different choices here. Of course, wallpaper, portrait view. I'm not a fan of home screen and landscape. I do like it turning like that in the actual device itself, but I'm not a fan of home screen switching to landscape mode. So I can do portrait view only, which I selected. I can go into animations and change these. I can do the screen swipe effect change. So, for example, it was doing kind of a carousel effect. I can do a breeze effect, for example, and I'll show you. Actually, it shows you how it looks. You see breeze versus panorama versus accordion versus carousel, and you can go back and forth between those. So some customization choices you don't see on other devices, and of course lock screen, I can select my lock. I can do owner info, screen effect, and add things like date and time and more and make it kind of my own device. Customization choices are quite good on the Optimus G.